In the headlines, Herbert Xavier of Soufriere awaits sentencing after he pleaded guilty to manslaughter in connection with the 2010 murder of his brother, Harrison Williams. New software to be implemented by Met Office to benefit critical sectors, and tourism stakeholders endorse plans for the development of a cruise village. I am Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News. Details coming up after this. Thank you for staying with us. The Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit returned home to a celebration rally at Canefield Airport on Tuesday afternoon.
When Prime Minister Skerrit landed at Canefield Airport Tuesday afternoon, he was welcomed by the executive of the Dominican Labour Party, supporters and friends and family. The welcome rally planned by Cabinet and parliamentary colleagues served in part to congratulate the Prime Minister as a recipient of the Honorary Doctorate of Literature bestowed upon him by the lovely professional university in India.
I feel loved. I feel valued and appreciated by my people. You have been my source of joy and satisfaction. On this special occasion, I share this international recognition with you, my brothers and sisters of Dominica, and with you, my comrades and friends in the Dominica Labour Party. I do not know why others are getting themselves so flustered over this award. If it has no value, why are they bothered about it? You should not worry about worthless things. If you think that being recognized and honored by the #1 university in the most populated country in the world is not worthy of note, then stop letting it bother you. It was a very moving experience for me to stand as leader of one of the smallest populated countries of the world and be recognized and acknowledged by the intellectual leaders of the largest populated country in the world, India. I was amazed at how much they knew about Dominica. I was inspired by the high regard with which they hold the governance of this beautiful country. This evening, I say to you, my fellow Dominicans, walk tall, hold your heads high. This country is respected by many. This country is admired by many. This country is revered by many. This award bears the name Roosevelt Skerrit, but it is in honor of the people of the Commonwealth of Dominica.
Clearly, the Prime Minister has been paying attention to what's going on the ground.
On the domestic front, I am aware of widespread concerns among the population concerning alleged inappropriate behavior on the part of 3 adults in positions of trust and influence in our society. I wish to state at this point and from this stage tonight that I have only just returned to Dominica, and I'm looking forward as early as tonight to a full briefing from the acting Prime Minister and all relevant office holders with whom I would normally confer after a long period of absence from the country. When I am brought up to speed with all what would have transpired during my absence, and also that which is in the social, political and economic melting pot at this time, I will act decisively on any and all matters requiring my attention and intervention.
The Youth Minister, the Minister for Education, and Dr. Philbert Aaron, the DLP's Public Relations Officer, all addressed that gathering. Look out for more from Tuesday's welcome rally at Canefield in our next newscast.
The state dismissed the charges against Manuela Williams and Loretta Xavier on Tuesday after their brother, Herbert Xavier, pleaded guilty to manslaughter.
All three siblings had previously been sentenced to 15 years in prison for the murder of their brother Harrison Williams in 2010. After appealing, the Court of Appeal ruled that there were enough errors to render the conviction unsafe and so quashed the conviction and sentence. Herbert Xavier is now on remand awaiting sentencing. Following the decision, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Evelina Baptiste, said this was a matter of serious public interest and several factors were taken into consideration by the DPP. She stressed that there must always be a balancing act between rights of victims and defendants. She said the investigating officer was dead and the pathologist to perform the autopsy on the deceased body is out of state and can't be located for the trial. She said the accused had already served about 4 years in jail. Justice Errol Thomas said this was a very unfortunate situation which could have a lasting effect on the children who saw it. Donia Wood-Stewart, Wayne Norday and Darius Jones represented the family.
New software at the Meteorology Office to be implemented, which could complement some critical sectors.
This as Annie Carrett Joseph of the Dominica Meteorology Service attended a workshop last week in Barbados to prepare participants to use this software. The ClimePact 2 software was developed by experts of the World Meteorology Organization. It is hoped this will be used at meteorology offices across the Caribbean to create weather indicators customized to various sectors.
The workshop was basically enhancing climate indices for sector-specific applications in the Caribbean region. This is, for instance, dry periods, wet periods, hot conditions, whether temperatures may exceed a certain threshold and it affects on different sectors. For example, health. What would be the impact if you have temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius over a period of time?
At the climatology unit where Joseph is based, she looks at the factors that influence the weather and the impact it can have on things like the planning of activities and the designs of buildings. She says she believes she can use the software to create a more in-depth, tailored product for not just the agriculture sector, which they are already working with.
Normally we do tailored products for the Ministry of Agriculture, and we are presently making plans to develop or create a greater relationship with the Ministry of Health. So one of our products, for instance, for agriculture is a monthly agroclimatic bulletin. So we would tailor information to agriculture.
Through the use of the new software, 6 sectors including health, tourism, energy, agriculture, water and disaster management would be covered.
During the workshop, one of our projects was to do comparisons with the indices we ran and data from the different sectors. So, for instance, the Ministry of Health was represented at the workshop, and we used data of gastroenteritis for a period of 5 years. So we compared it to our dry and wet period data, and we looked for like correlations between them. So was it like during the dry periods, was the gastroenteritis cases increasing or was it decreasing? And with that, when a forecast for dry conditions is issued, then the health sector can prepare themselves because they know that during dry season, an increase in gastroenteritis cases may occur.
Where is currently being used in parts of the Pacific Ocean. The workshop was hosted by the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology with funding from Environment Canada. Idona John Baptiste, Channel 5 News.
Taxi operators are among tourism stakeholders interested in seeing the development of a cruise village. April marks the end of the 7-month cruise season. Channel 5 News took the opportunity to speak with taxi operators while an AIDA cruise ship docked at the Roseau cruise ship berth on Tuesday.
But I personally think that we need a proper cruise jetty in Dominica. We need a cruise jetty that will accommodate at least 3 ships at one time. And we need more cruise ships, and with a proper cruise jetty, I personally think that we will get more cruise ships. So we need a proper cruise ship. That is that is my opinion. Proper cruise jetty with a cruise village, and to get the cruise ships coming in here. More ships, bigger ships, and so things would work better.
Alcendo says a small cruise ship berth limits the number of ships that can dock in port on any given day. He says the Combined Taxi Incorporated has brought the matter up at meetings organized by the tourism authorities.
Let's invest some money and put a proper cruise jetty out of town. Okay. Out of town, because we cannot have the people disembark in the ship in town and they just walk straight into town without taking a taxi. If the cruise ship or cruise jetty and cruise village is out of town, at least the visitors, as they disembark the ship, they will probably take a taxi and get into town. Pay $3, $4, $5 per person to get to town, the very same amount back to the ship. And so persons or taxi operators probably don't even have to go on a long journey, on a long tour to make a day's work. Because if you have a big bus and you carry 20 persons at $5, this is already a sum of money. And then you do that 2 free times for the day. You're kind of good for the day. And so this would help leave, the drivers, alleviate the little pressure that falls on them in finding a long distance store to go to the sites.
Another long-serving taxi operator says unless there is better organization, they will continue to face the same challenges within the tourism business.
It depends on who negotiating to bring the ships here. It all depends on what agent is going to really deal with that kind of matter. But we definitely need a cruise ship village where we can get tours from wherever the village and bring to town. This country is a lovely country, offers a lot of sites, more sites than a lot of all these other countries. So we need a better management system in place for these things to operate in a form that we will go somewhere. We will be renowned, we will be known, and people will come to Dominica.
In 2010, Ports Minister at the time, Reuben Blackmore, had announced that there was a plan to transform Canefield Airport into a cruise village. Stay tuned, we'll be back right after this. Thank you for staying with us. The Caribbean Development Bank and the National Development Foundation will partner with Carryman to address crime and dysfunction in the family. The Caribbean Development Bank and the National Development Foundation will partner with Carryman to address the issues of crime and dysfunction in the family.
We identify 3 major categories where we think the youth, it's very appealing to the youth, which is music, sports, and even parenting. Because that's something that we often speak about, that we want to have better parents because we need to have better families, because in having better families, we have better societies, and then in this we'll deter or we'll reduce the amount of gender-based violence and the different types of these ills that we have in society.
The coordinators for the project are Geoff Faustin for sports, Derek Ra-Peters for music, and Annie St. Louis for parenting. There are other activities the organization is hosting to encourage men in society.
There was a need that we should try our best to try to get a special grouping for especially boys and young men to articulate their voice. And that also was done in collaboration with Carryman. So we started off the men's forum, first of all. So we have a men's forum, which is also a part of the National Youth Council, where men come to the table and discuss issues which we think is affecting us and affecting different young men within our society. And also interaction just to counteract it, because we also have a women's forum. So if women out there also like to join, they can also get involved in the women's forum.
Pierce says the non-government organizations still need the support of the public in order to execute a lot of their activities. The Minister for Education remains optimistic in the midst of a delay in the arrival of funds promised by a French organization to assist in renovation works at 2 primary schools here. In October last year, a ceremony was held where the Guadeloupe-based group Coreka promised €70,000 to the Ministry of Education. This money is earmarked to renovate the Soufriere and Dalis primary schools. In January this year, principal of the Soufriere primary school confirmed that work had not yet started because the promised funds had not yet been received. In February, president of the Dominica Guadeloupe Association said the funds had been raised but were still in Guadeloupe. And last week, the Minister for Education said his ministry was still working in collaboration with the Guadeloupe-based associations to ensure the best way forward for repairing these 2 schools.
The Ministry of Education has a commitment from Coreka, that is an association in Guadeloupe, and the Guadeloupe Dominica Association for the provision of funds to address the situation in Soufriere and at the Dalis Primary School. At this moment, We are actively engaged in getting the requisite resources here on island so we can see a commencement of the fencing and roof project in Soufriere and the fencing, roof and repainting of the Daly's Primary School. But as it is, we are waiting on communication from the associations in Guadeloupe so works can commence.
Seja says the ministry and the Guadeloupe associations remain committed to having work start on the primary schools in the quickest possible time.
The monies have not yet been transferred here to the Ministry of Education, the government of Dominica, so we are waiting on CORECA and the association. You will recall that a few months ago we actually received a big check, but the small one has not yet arrived.
The Canadian Teachers Federation is working with the Dominica Association of Teachers to make important changes in what has become an annual teacher training program coordinated by the DAT. The CTF assists both financially and otherwise with the teacher training programs hosted by the DAT in July each year. The change in teacher training structure is expected to come into effect in 2017.
Well, we're heading in the direction of looking not just at individual teachers receiving professional development, but looking at whole school change and working with an entire school or a number of entire schools over a period of a couple of years, say, so that they are becoming a professional learning community. You can get a momentum going that you're not able to get if you simply have received some training through a professional development program and return to a school. Your colleagues don't know what you've learned, and so you're on your own in a way.
President of the DAT says while this new format will be a mammoth task, the association is committed to seeing it through.
For us, it is a new approach, and of course it's going to be very challenging because you know that we do not have full-time staff at the DAT. But again, we are looking at the interest of our teachers to enable them for professional staff development and for having the schools to be professional communities. What is going to happen, rather than we impose on the schools are going to impose upon us, to say, because at every level we are going to be in contact with the principal, with the staff, with the education officer.
Nicholas says this arrangement will be more beneficial to the schools and teachers.
This is something we have been advocating for the longest while, that if you have certain challenges in certain schools, that we feel that the teachers in those schools, they should be the one attending the session so that they can go back to their schools and make a difference. The first district we're looking at is at the southern district, which is quite small in comparison to, for example, like the northern. We are just not doing something without our research and without information. So it is a mammoth job, but we feel it is worth it if we want to make a difference in the challenges that our teachers are facing at school.
The DAT has been collaborating with the CTF for over 40 years. And in the midst of the ongoing fight against the Zika virus, the Environmental Health Department is being challenged to do something unique, even though the concept is not entirely new. Coordinator of the West Dominica Children's Federation says the idea for this challenge stems from the recent cleanup campaign, which led to the collection of truckloads of white goods.
As part of our Agriculture in Schools project, one of the highlights is container agriculture. Therefore, I am challenging the Environmental Health Department to find a way to engage one of the schools or more than one school with enough space in their yard to make use of some of these old fridges and maybe washing machines and turn them into something that the children can plant vegetables in.
Barron says the Federation is willing to support the promotion of agriculture in schools.
We have been giving some support to greenhouses in numerous schools, but even though they don't have a greenhouse because it's expensive, but the container agriculture has been working in a number of areas, and we want to give $400 worth of seeds towards the school that is chosen. I hope the environmental health will take up the challenge to make this something that the children can be proud of, something that is useful to the school and maybe even the community.
It is an idea that the Ministry of Health has welcomed.
We look into taking some of the recommendations that you have made as it relates to the using the containers. I must say that, however, that the Dominica Solid Waste Corporation has started working with some schools, and we have done the Grow Green where we use some containers. Actually, St. Luke's School just recently had an exhibition. So I think this is a very salient and very important recommendation that we will put into use as time goes by.
That's news. Sports highlights next with Kenny Williams.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Sports Report. Serving in some volleyball, coach of the Dominica State College's male volleyball team, Cleavon Vidal, says he is proud of his team's victory over Northeast Comprehensive at the final on Monday. The scores at the match were 25-20, 25-16, 17-25 and 25-20. DCS winning 3-1.
Defending championship in 2016 against NECS. I say again, is great because they beat us in the round robin segment of this championship, and we came back and we gave it our all. The captain and his team came together and we worked hard, and the players gave it their all and communicated, and not through services key, and we won this championship. So I'm very excited about this. So I came in here with my fears because NECS is a team, they fight all the way to the end, they never give up, and I know their coach myself, and he's a coach, he'll train them never to give up, and that's what they did, they never give up, but we worked harder and we got what we came for.
Meantime, the coach of the NECS team says her players could have done better, especially the more senior ones.
More experienced players on the team did not really step up to the plate. They did not really encourage. They could have encouraged a lot more to the less experienced. In the regular season, we actually bounced back in 5 sets to beat the college at 3-2. And then to go down to them in the finals at 3-1 is not very encouraging at all. Second set, when we bounced back and we won the college by 25-16, I actually went back and I told them, look at the difference in the sets. We lost to them in the first set 25-20 and we came back and we won. I still believe that you guys have a lot more to give in the game, but somehow they lost a bit of focus, and sometimes when they lose focus, it's very, very difficult to get them to refocus again.
Meanwhile, in the female match between Castle Bruce Secondary and Isaiah Thomas Secondary Schools, CBSS won in 3 straight sets with scores 25-15, 25-23 and 25-8. Coach of the CBSS female team, Delroy Watt, says the win marks a special occasion for them.
That's our first volleyball 6-court trophy. 6-court, 6-on-a-court trophy. We always win the beach volleyball, but that's the first time we win in the court six players volleyball. All right. Last year we made it to the finals, and it was very disappointing because we lost to Portsmouth, although having beaten them in the group stage of the competition. They came and they beat us in the finals. So it was a very sad day for us players. We were crying, but we came very, very prepared, much prepared for this game today.
Meantime, team player of the ITSS female volleyball team, Naisha Joseph, says the championships should have been theirs.
We did not perform properly, we lapsed, and eventually that was our game, but we just threw it away. Hesitated to hit the ball, and we was kind of nervous. Most of them was kind of nervous. So.
In cricket, a good look for West Indies as they celebrated a 10-wicket win against Zimbabwe in a tour match on Monday. Zimbabwe had first knock, ending on 153 for 7 in 20 overs. VC Sanbanda top scored with 64. Carlos Brathwaite took 3 for 22. Dwayne Bravo 2 for 11 and Jerome Taylor 2 for 35 for West Indies. The dynamic duo of Johnson Charles and Andre Fletcher carried West Indies to 154 without loss. Track and field takes us to Windsor Park, where the 2016 Secondary Schools Athletics Championships begin Wednesday and continue into Thursday. The competition will help selectors pick athletes who are suitable for the upcoming inter-secondary school games, which run from late July to early August. In some more cricket, Home Advantage favored Trinidad and Tobago as they recorded a 9-wicket win against Leeward's Hurricanes to close off their round of play in the regional 4-day tournament. Jamar Hamilton and Kerman Bonner added 53 and 47 respectively. Riyad Ermrit and Marlon Richards picked up 3 for 55 each for Red Force. The home team in reply batted their way to an impressive 406. Imran Khan 82, Narsai Dio Narayan 68 and Stephen Katwaru 50. Rakeem Cornwall wreaked havoc in the TNT camp, taking 5 for 88. Lee Woods answered with 289. Cornwall top scored with 65, Casey Carty 59, Monson Hodge 40, Orlando Peter 39, and Jeremiah Lewis 32 not out. Imran Khan picked up the most wickets for Red Force, taking 4 for 80. Red Force in their second turn at the crease ended on 111 for 1. Elvin Lewis 56 and Kyle Hope 34. And finally, in new developments out of the boxing scene, President of the Top Glove Boxing Club, Jobs Joseph, says plans are in the pipeline to increase awareness of the sport locally. His comments come on the heels of a recent donation of boxing gear to the club.
And with the ring, we'll get more equipment. And what we plan to do when that ring comes is to have a competition every week, probably the last Sunday in every, sorry, not every week, but every month. The last Sunday in every month, we'll try to have a competition. And that will help us a long way because in 2017, we're trying to have a club competition in England. And we're trying to bring as much boxers we can bring, at least 25 of them to England to have the club competition. So what we're planning to do is have these fights every last Sunday in the month. So it will help us to raise funds so the young men and young women of Dominica could go to England in the club championship.
Joseph says boxing is not a gender-biased sport and he hopes to promote female boxing soon.
We're trying to change that whole philosophy about boxing is for men. Both men and women have hands, both men and women have legs, they have brains, so I don't see why both cannot come to the ring and take care of themselves. We have about 3 girls training with us, young ladies training with us, and I believe in the near future we'll have much more than 3.
Joseph says there are also plans to incorporate the winning of belts locally and regionally for boxers.
Fresh Direct, and right now we're having discussion with them to having competitions where they will be donating not medals, but belts. We'll be fighting for a belt in the company name. And also, Coach Willie is working on a company in England also to make belts for us, so we'll be fighting for belts. Now, the first year, we plan to have local fights for the belts. But the other year, our local would have to big it up because the belts can leave Dominica and go overseas because we're going to have regional guys involved in it.
Well, I had the opportunity to experience what it's like wearing those gloves. Watch this.
Can you box already for the man? Box already for the man. Can you box already for the man?
Me? Don't drop your hand. So straight back. Good. 1, 2. 1, 2.
To end the news, the headlines again. Herbert Xavier of Soufriere awaits sentencing after he pleaded guilty to manslaughter in connection with the 2010 murder of his brother, Harrison Williams. Prosecution against his 2 sisters has been discontinued. New software to be implemented by Met Office to benefit critical sectors. And tourism stakeholders endorse plans for the development of a cruise village. Feel free to contact us at news@MarpinNewsMarch1st2k16 and watch our past newscasts on our YouTube page. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Angela Lee. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.